This is Ray Mooney's Wild World of Wet Shaving. Let's begin. Hi, this is Ray Mooney. Welcome back to the podcast. I'd like to give a warm welcome to Chris from Catie's Bubbles. Hey, Chris, thanks for joining today.
Hi, Ray. Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody out there for listening.
Cool. It's a pleasure to have you on, and we can jump right in. I have a bunch of questions for you, and the first would be, did you get into wet shaving before you started actually making soap?
No, soap brought me to wet shaving.
Okay, interesting.
I'm sure many have seen me talk about how at one point in a Facebook shaving group 13, 14, 15 years ago, there was a couple of soap makers that were trash talking, saying that you cannot make a good shaving soap without using tallow. So I said, challenge accepted. Uh, and then I had to figure out how to test my own products. And can you really properly test a shaving soap using a Mach 3?
I say no.
So I got a Merkur 23C and a Vanderhagen bore, and then another razor and another brush, and so on and so forth.
That's how it goes. So are you actually a collector? I mean, I know you've mentioned I believe it was an AMA on Reddit 6 years ago that you had stopped counting your soaps at 200.
Yeah, I've stopped counting anything. Uh,
Okay. So then,
there,
yes,
there,
you're a collector.
there, there are multiple bathrooms. My bedroom has multiple locations with shaving and fragrance products. My hall closet is half full of shaving stuff. It, it's it, it's a problem.
Okay. Is it a problem. A problem for lack of space, maybe, right?
Yes, especially in a house that was not built to accommodate additional storage.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. But I feel you. I too am a collector. I don't have that much of the house filled, but I have a whole room with just an excess of stuff that will take many lifetimes to get through.
Yes, many lifetimes. I
Right.
could shave half of New Jersey and still have product left over.
So I know that you're a single edge razor fan. Do you ever use straights or chevettes or other sort of single blade implements?
I own one shavette,
Yeah.
which is the non-folding feather DX.
Okay.
I've got 30 something straight razors.
And
So,
you use them regularly or from time to time?
well, I only shave twice a week, and you actually have to want to put the energy into stropping.
Sure.
So I'd say I get a straight razor shave in once, twice a month.
Okay. I've been bitten by that bug, so I'm sort of obsessive and obsessing about straight razors these days. It's quite a rabbit hole.
It is. And there's so many cool looking designs, and the different grime styles, that are available out there, and the way that they react differently to the way that it sounds when it pops your hair.
Sure.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
You've got I've got these old near wedge Wade and Butchers that are just silent assassins. They
Hmm.
make almost no noise. They're silent killers, but they rip everything right off of your face.
Yeah.
Um, and then I've got extra hollow uh, Theosard, which that thing sings like a canary.
That's it. And each has its own characteristic. Even the old ones, I really like the vintage ones because I try to imagine what the story is behind this razor, like where it's been. Uh, some are, even 100 years old plus. So I like sort of all of those aspects of it myself. It's a fun hobby, the straight part of it. Another question for you. Well, question. I mean, from what, again, my research indicates that you started your business in November 2012 and went online to start sales online in early 2014. Is that sort of accurate?
Correct.
Okay,
Business registration was the end of 2012, just because a hobby's got to feed itself occasionally.
sure.
So if you're going to do it, you do it the right way. So this way you don't have to deal with the government getting mad at you later.
Absolutely.
Unlike the wife, you do not ask for forgiveness. You ask for permission when it comes to the government.
Fair enough. And most certainly when it comes to the government, yes. But so, I mean, that's more than 10 years. Congrats for over 10 years in business. And how's business more than 10 years later?
It's been 12 years of a roller coaster.
Okay.
There's anybody who does what I do will tell you the same thing. One day you can't keep up with everything that's going on, and the next day you're scratching your head wondering if you're going to sell anything.
What do you think?
So it's all peaks and valleys. It depends upon, um, especially on the hobbyist side, who made a post in a Reddit group or a post on Instagram or so on and so forth that caught somebody's eye and then started that little snowball down a hill.
Interesting. And do you think that social media has that much of an effect in terms of sales or sort of buying frenzies, if you will?
For the hobbyist side, for the people that engage online, yes.
Okay.
For the people that are just looking, that keep 1 to 2 jars of soap on hand at a time, and they don't buy another one until they're almost out. Um, they're just buying based off of their calendar and use.
Yes.
Where um, people that actually spend time, whether it's on Reddit, Discord, Facebook, Instagram, any of the standalone old school BBS forums, they um, they feed off of each other.
Right.
And if somebody posts something that really tickles that gremlin in the back of the brain, then it will lead to sales. That's just the way that it goes down to it.
Okay.
Or back in the day when um, YouTube used to really be the driving force, when you had guys like Chris Bailey and Nick Shaves, um, they could make and overwhelm a business quickly just with one video.
Wow. So a shave fluencer really is a thing then, or was at least.
Yes.
Interesting.
There are some still
Yeah.
that it have some influence out there, but it's nowhere near what it used to be because between the times back in 2015, 2016, where you had guys like Nick Shaves that really took the time and put together um, a video that really made you think about a couple of things. Um, you've had way too many people try to capitalize on being a shade fluencer,
Yes.
as you so lovely put it. And that has soured the idea of it for some people.
Interesting. So I guess, I mean, my next question is, are we in a golden age of wet shaving right now? Sounds to me like it sort of has passed, maybe.
It in terms of what's available to everybody,
Yeah.
there's more options now than there's ever been
True.
for consumers in general. But in terms of the online aspect of the hobby, I think we're just coming out of um, a very golden age for it, and we'll have to wait and see what happens with the near future to see if it's really on a decline or if it's just has taken a little nap on the plateau.
Right. Well, as you said earlier, peaks and valleys. So let's see if it
Yes.
peaks back up again. In Katie's Bubbles, in your catalog, how many unique scents have you made over the 12 years in business so far?
You'd have to get back to me in about 3 weeks when I remember all the I've done.
Right.
Um, but I over that time, I'd easily say it's probably close to 100, if not
Wow.
just past it.
Okay. And how many of them are in your current catalog?
I think right now, what you can go to my website and buy is somewhere in the 20s.
Okay. How long did it take you to master balancing and blending so that it doesn't just smell like mud?
There is no mastering that.
No?
It's so much because you still wind up you can wind up with the greatest idea, but somewhere along the way, um, between initial development to finalizing the scent, you're going to hit mud once or twice in that process there.
Okay.
It's just a matter of not getting discouraged, figuring out what's canceling each other out or really fighting with each other and rebalancing or taking a slightly different approach if that is what's necessary.
Okay. And you would say that that happens each time one is developing sort of a new fragrance or a new combination?
There's a high chance that you're going to have a, unless you are the luckiest SOB on the planet, there's going to be a dud
Okay.
somewhere in the development process that you go, what the heck was I thinking?
Right.
Where did I screw this up? And then you take half a step back to the previous iteration, see what you changed, tweak things a little bit, and then you can start back on the right path.
Got it. Okay. Do you create a story in your head or on paper before you start creating a scent?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. A lot of my scents are customer inspired. People like what I'm working on right now with Joe Boo's rum from the wet shaving Discord and the Reddit sub.
Yeah.
Um, he loves Blue Jare. He loves my old Cape Cod cranberry.
Yeah.
He wanted to see how they would work together. So he's literally right now sitting on um, multiple iterations of what we have dubbed Crangier, which is replacing the blueberry from Blugere with a cranberry note,
Okay.
as well as retooling the bottom of it, so that this way, while it's still a fougere, it's a different experience.
Yes.
Um, and then the other idea that's come out of that was, um, we take what we finalize as Crangier and we take what's already been out there as Blugere, and together they form forces like Voltron
I love it.
and become what we have dubbed legendary.
Yes, that does sound legendary. I'm certainly a big fan of Blue
No,
Jare.
not legendary,
Oh,
legendary.
legendberry. Okay, that works even better and quite punny.
Yeah,
Um,
and of course, right from the get go when we started about that, we took the total Barney Stinson approach, and on the vials it literally says legend. Wait for it, berry.
right. Nice. And so once J-Booz is satisfied with it, then it's done. That does it get released to the general public, or it remains something sort of special to him?
Oh no, there's way too much work that's gone into this for to
Right.
be a one-off release,
Okay,
unless
good.
he's gonna unless he's gonna pay me $2,000 or $3,000 to
Buy you
um
out.
to buy the formula off of me.
Right.
Um, then now this is I'm actually in the process of I've already started designing labels and I'm starting on production.
Excellent. Who does your label design?
Hi, how are you?
Fantastic. I really like the,
It's me, a crappy old copy of Photoshop.
yeah,
Um, and When
Okay.
I first got started back in 2012, I paid my buddy Ed, who is a comic book artist,
Nice.
to design my logo, which is the little diamond with the scrolly C with the bubble on top.
Yep.
Um, and I've been running with that ever since, for a logo, and just trying to figure out some way to slap that on top of an image that, in my brain, tells some story about the scent.
Sure. And I think that that's very successful. And, like it or not, you have quite a consistent branding thing going on. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about because I work in that.
And that is a good thing, because if
Oh,
you can look at
absolutely.
something and be like, I know what that is,
That's exactly right.
just from a quick glance, then that definitely helps.
For sure. Especially, I mean, you have so many different scents or have done over the years that it's great that you can always tell that it's Katie's Bubbles. The blue tubs help too, sometimes. Some of them, the 2 ounce tubs, I guess.
The blue tubs, I keep saying this. I don't know how much longer they're going to be around, because for some reason the the cost of them and the availability of them, the cost keeps going up. The availability gets harder and harder.
Right. Seems to be with
I don't
everything
I
these
don't
days.
know. I don't know if it's a problem with the resin supply. I don't know if it's supplier greed. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but um, those jars now cost double what they cost me 5 years ago.
Wow. Uh,
And the place I was buying them from 5 years ago,
yeah.
if you're lucky, they're in stock once every 2 months for about 13 seconds.
Gosh. Okay. I guess there are other options then.
Yes,
Okay.
thankfully, that jar style,
Yeah.
is made by a couple of different manufacturers. Little guys like us, we never get to deal direct with the manufacturer, because I can't buy 20,000
Of
jars at a
course.
time.
Right.
So I'm stuck with resellers that are going to sell me two cases that are 350 jars a piece.
Yep.
Uh, But finding a reseller that has them in stock and, um, isn't going to break the piggy bank, because I try to keep things affordable for everybody. I don't know if you've noticed, but with all
Absolutely.
the other chaos that's been going on, um, for my standard product line, that price hasn't changed since 2016.
It most certainly hasn't. And I think that that's very valiant because everywhere else prices have jumped some, by insane margins. So good on you for holding out as long as you can, I guess.
And the higher end stuff, granted, there's some that are 20, some that are $25, but those prices really haven't changed much either, because I'm not trying to make enough money to go and buy a bridge. I'm not,
Right.
um trying to do anything other than keep the lights on and keep my kids fed,
Sure.
in terms of making profit. But I want the hobby to still be accessible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, everyone's sort of cognizant of material costs that have gone sky high everywhere too. So, a little bit of a price increase, I think, is understandable at a certain point.
And that's also one other area where we're using a very simple, clean formula for the soap itself has come in handy, because those ingredients, believe it or not, haven't changed much
Right.
in terms of cost.
Oh, really? Okay. That's great.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, if you look at my regular formula,
Yep.
um, you've got stearic acid,
Yep.
coconut oil, shea butter, and jojoba.
Yep.
I think shea butter has gone up about 25 cents a pound
Okay.
in the past 5 years.
Wow. That's not too much.
Jojoba, I haven't checked this week, because I've been dealing with other things. I haven't been shopping retailers to see who's, um, panic reacting to all the talks of, oh, we're going to tariff this. Oh, no, we're not going to tariff. Oh, we're going to
Right.
tariff. Oh, no,
Yeah,
we're not going to tariff. And until that's all set in stone, everything is going to be insane because you're going to have companies that are taking advantage of that to make more profit. And you're going to have other companies that are going to panic and say, we need to charge more for what we have on hand, or we're not going to be able to replace it to sell some more.
sure. And as to whether it will ever stabilize, or at least for, the next little while is all up in the air as well. So crazy
Well,
times.
it is a very very charged conversation with a lot of um, economic and political impact. But I think we just need to be patient and not panic and see how it plays out because every time somebody says that the sky is falling,
Right.
10 minutes later or the next morning, somebody's capitulated to what somebody demands, and those tariffs have done exactly what that person wanted them to.
That's right. That's exactly right. So yes, patience and, strong stomach, perhaps.
Um, Strong stomach or perhaps a little Valium, who knows?
That helps too. Yes, always. Speaking of Valium, no. Do you have a specific R&D process for developing or scents? So, well, soaps, you have your formula, but sort of different scents.
They're very different in terms of development processes because when you're looking at developing a base formula for a soap or an aftershave, you're for soaps you're purely looking at um, fatty acid content of ingredients, what their insaponifiables do for face feel, um, and there's a lot more science that goes in on that end. Whereas the scent end of things, there's a lot more art and creativity,
Right.
and you either need to be inspired by something or you found something that you want to copy.
Okay. Fair enough. So I
I'm not
guess,
going to beat around the bush on that. 99.9% of anything that can be done has already been done in one shape, way, shade, or another.
sure. I feel the same way in terms of design,
But it comes down to how do you make it yours without just stomping on the toes of what came before?
right. Yeah, that makes sense. I heard you mention before that you plan to pull all dupes from your line or eventually get rid of any dupes and I'll have
Well, I've
original.
stopped I've stopped putting out new ones.
Okay.
The very last dupe that I released out to the market um was Dusk, and I want to say that was in 2017 or 2018.
Okay.
So I've done a very good job of staying in terms of new product, um, staying in my own wheelhouse and putting out what represents me instead of me representing somebody else's work.
Right.
And a big piece of that also is the fact that since then, I've been comfortable enough with scent creation that I can take that leap.
Absolutely. And is it
Not every not everybody puts the time in on the perfumery end, because there's what 4,000 different ingredients that are available to us to make a scent.
sure? There's absolutely a lot to know, a lot to learn, etc. So
And what's going to interact with what creates an unexpected thing. Because as with anything, everything that you use to make a scent is an organic chemical.
sure.
And what's going to break a carbon bond here? What's going to um, have this jump off of this carbon chain and jump onto that? some of that only comes with experience, and some comes with warning, and some comes with lessons on how to do it because it creates some interesting things.
Absolutely.
There's a grapish aroma chemical called methylamphenate
Okay.
that when that is in a solution in the presence of an aldehyde, they will react together and create what's called a shift base.
Okay.
And if you didn't know that that was going to happen when the the formula as it ages starts to intensely darken and the aroma changes drastically, and there winds up being a little bit of extra water in there because there was some hydrogen and oxygen thrown off of some molecules in there.
Yeah.
Um, then you get a big surprise and you don't know exactly what's going on.
Right. And so I imagine one learns along the way. Each subsequent success sort of, makes the next one easier. Is that fair
Lots
to
and
say?
lots of trial and error, but it's always much easier to learn from somebody else's mistake.
That's fair for
It's
sure.
also a lot less costly to learn from somebody else's mistake.
Also, yes, for sure. Sort of makes me wish that I paid better attention in science class because it seems like there's a lot of sort of science in this alchemy that you all do.
Well, there's, as I said, what makes a soap work is pure science.
Right.
What makes a fougere smell great? It's a lot more art than science.
Okay. But I imagine there's a certain base science that just to make the elements combine or certain elements combine with other elements and not with.
Well, you're not creating a lot of chemical reactions um, when you're mixing a perfume. It's actually very rare that you wind up with a brand new molecule when you mix things together because a lot of these things are very stable.
Okay.
But when you learn that putting oak moss, coumarin, or tonka bean and lavender together creates a fougere accord, which is somebody's idea of what a fern should smell like, which I don't know if you've ever seen us actually talk about it in the groups, but ferns don't smell like anything.
Right.
A fougere is a fantasy scent. It's totally up to the perfumer as to what their mind tells them it should smell like,
Sure.
and them bending the will of the ingredients they're working with to make it smell the way they want it to.
Hmm. Interesting. But then, because the scent exists, maybe we all walk around thinking we know what a fern smells like, when in fact we do not, or
It
especially if it doesn't
and
smell
then
like anything.
and then we can go walk into the woods and rip off a frond and stick it right up our nose and smell nothing.
That's right. Or maybe our brain tells us that it's in fact a fougere or our favorite fougere,
Mhm.
and that's the trick. What of your fragrances that come to mind, was there one that was more difficult than others to develop that sort of stands out?
The This is a tough one because there's some that were slow burn efforts over the course of years, putting together little pieces of them, and then eventually things click and everything comes together.
Okay.
Um, Working up Azure
Yeah.
took about two took about 2 years, and it originally started as um, a scent that was going to be put out for West Coast shaving,
Huh.
and then the previous owner of West Coast Shaving withdrew a lot before he started the process of selling to the guy that owns it now. So I got backburnered and I refused to offer them anything else off of that.
Okay.
But what I started working up for them was 5 cents. And this was 2019,
Yep.
and it was another 2 years later. It was either 2002 or 2022 or 2023, where Azure was finally released at the Magnet.
Okay. And was it a sort of intentionally timed release with the Maggard meetup?
That's I had to sit on it for a week from when it was actually done.
Okay, that's not too long.
So I figured that just holding on to it and doing it as the in-person release um, made more sense because how am I going to keep track of inventory for a new product that's selling online when I have all the product with me in Michigan?
Sure. Makes sense.
So holding on to it for a week and then doing the actual online drop after I got back home was simply to make my life easier and not have to worry about um, selling out while I was in Michigan and then coming back and having a bunch of angry people that I don't have product to ship to.
Right. Makes sense. Do you have a favorite scent amongst your catalog from all the stuff that you've done?
I do, but we're not going to tease anybody about that because there's only like 33 jars of it out in the world.
I see. Okay.
If you pay attention to um, when I post my own shaves of the day,
Yes.
um, I will normally use it twice a year, once on my birthday and once on Father's Day.
Oh boy. That's very specific.
Well, you treat yourself with your favorite stuff on your birthday.
Of course. So now,
And
in order to
being
glean when your birthday is, I have to watch all your Shave of the Days, especially, and start with Father's Day and look out for
there's
that.
enough there's more than enough people out there that know my birthday is the last day of
I'm
November.
sure. I'm sure. But that's a little challenge to the new listeners who don't know.
Well, I just told them.
Sure. Is it that easy? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that easy.
Okay.
But yeah, that was an initial passion project of mine, and I can't get the ingredients to make it again.
Okay.
Um, one of the key pieces in it um is Brazilian rosewood, and you can't get Brazilian rosewood essential oil anymore. It's all reconstructed, recreated stuff because of the fact that Brazilian rosewood is now so endangered that they don't let you ship anything across borders.
Okay. And have they been able to faithfully recreate it, sort of chemically?
It's close. It's well, no, they'll take rosewood grown in other areas
Oh, I see. Okay.
and they'll take little twigs and whatnot that they clip when they actually trim the trees, and they'll use those to make part of the essential oil. But it's close, but it's not the same.
Right. Okay. But
And
close.
it's one of those things where I know what it's supposed to smell like, and it just isn't quite right. So I'm not going there
Fair enough.
because it cheapens my initial idea.
Sure. And that's some good integrity. So sounds good. How long have you been an active member of the shaving community for sort of the 12 years that you've been serving them with Katie's Bubbles?
I've been online and active in um, Facebook groups for shaving since before I started selling online.
Okay. And
I
still
want to
very
say it was October or November of 2013 that I really started trying to learning how to get a better shave and make sure that what I had was good before I started selling it.
yep, makes sense. I know that your first soap way back when, I think it was at Seabreeze Barbershop.
Good old pity soap.
Yeah, that well, I was gonna say was a lard base, right? And I know that you
Yes, it's
go on.
lard and cocoa butter. And there was, of course, stearic acid. And I want to say I used palm kernel oil in that as well.
Right. In doing some research, I was listening to other video interviews with you, and there was talk, or I think it was jest, about doing a schmaltz base.
Ugh.
That's all I needed to
I
hear.
bird fat, it doesn't matter what bird it is,
Right.
always smells funky to my nose.
Sure. And it probably gets messy too.
That's fat is fat, oils are oils. They're all made up of the same basic fatty acids.
Yes.
But it's the stuff that's not fatty acids that give it its wonderful aroma.
Yeah.
Um, and no, no, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay. Once upon a time, I made, again, a fake label, and it was called Schmaltz. And Will from Barrister and Man got very excited, thinking that it was some obscure soap that I had found somewhere, and was disappointed when I let him know that it was just a joke. So maybe one day some
Oh,
artisan will.
and there are some avian fats that are used. You've got
I mean, there's
duck fat,
duck. Yeah.
there's emu oil.
Okay.
Um, Outside of those two, you really don't see much. At least in the shaving world.
Yeah.
But if you've ever smelled raw emu oil,
Don't know that I'd want to.
you don't want to.
No.
Duck fat that duck fat is from what I've encountered is probably the most pleasant of the bird fats.
Okay. Even at that, I don't know that I'd want to necessarily smell raw duck fat. But hey,
No, but if you've ever used a Chicago grooming company or a
sure.
um, then you've used their stuff and people love her shaving soap.
I
But
love. I'm
it's only
one.
if only it's only one piece of the puzzle,
Sure.
and it's not a very large piece of the puzzle because it doesn't have to be.
Right. Fair enough. You've have you made soap for other brands or white label stuff?
I've made still make part of West Coast Shaving's lineup.
Okay.
Um, I've made commission stuff for an individual here and there. Um, what was the name of his aftershave company? I can't remember. There was a guy named Kevin that used to sell aftershaves, and he bowed out for a little bit, and then he came back with a and wanted to do um a full outdoorsy type brand called Wild Yak, and I made a couple of shave soaps for him. Um, there's a um soap maker that used to live out in Colorado.
Yeah.
A friend of mine named Holly, who unfortunately she passed from cancer a few years back. But I used to make a barbershop style scent that she sold at her company was called the Lotion Bar Cafe.
Okay.
And I made a shaving soap for her, just one simple barbershop scent. It was actually a Burberry classic dupe. Um, but just something so that she had a shaving soap to offer to everybody because her big thing was she was known as the fizzy queen. She she taught the world how to make bath bombs.
Okay.
She, she was darn good at it too. I miss her.
Sure. There, in doing my research, again, it was a soap I believe you made for a group, a shaving group, but it was called Greek Fire.
I still have a couple jars of it on the shelf. That's made for razor and brush. Oh, and yeah, there is another brand that I did make shaving soaps for. They're now known as Ariana and Evans, but back then they were just called back then they were just called the Shaving Shop.
No kidding, eh? I saw, again, in doing research, I saw a very old interview with you, or well, it was Peter interviewing you. Where were you guys in Boston, maybe?
He he ambushed me in my hotel room at Foxwoods with a camera.
Right.
This was before he started getting into the business side of things. He was just a YouTuber.
Oh,
But
interesting. Did not know that.
Red's Shaves and a couple other people from the shave market had put together the Northeast Shave Meetup at Foxwoods Casino.
Yeah.
So we spent the afternoon at the Hard Rock Cafe downstairs that they had, and the rest of the time we spent wandering around the property. And being that Foxwoods is not exactly a short drive from New Jersey, my wife and I we stayed up there in
Sure.
one of their rooms. Um, but yeah, Peter ambushed me in my hotel room, pulled a camera out of his bag, and said, "Sit down, we're doing this."
And you graciously obliged.
Well, I was always friendly with everybody back then, so it's one of those things. It's tough to say no.
Yeah. You said back then, as have things changed?
Oh, I'm a total hermit now. I don't talk to anybody. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing this interview then.
Um, no, but yeah, back then it was really hard to say no. Now I've got teenagers. No comes off the tongue.
Fair enough. I also have a teenager, so I know the feeling.
But yeah, while you're popping through online, if you ever see um Elementary or Francisco Classic, the deal maker from the shaving shop, I made those for Peter.
Okay. Nice. So actually, how much soap can you produce now, do you think? Again, doing some research in 2016, I think you mentioned that you could make about 300 soaps a day.
If I ran three pots side by side and ran around like a chicken without a head, yes, it's possible. I don't do that. Um, in reality, I'll make 1 or 200 jars a week.
Okay. That's still quite a bit of soap. And how does a dining room soap lab work for hosting dinner parties?
It works to the point that that room gets used for eating food 1 day a year, and
Okay.
in order to do that, I don't make soap the last 2 weeks of December.
Right. It's all about scheduling, I guess.
Yes, and because it basically turns into 90% of what's in that room comes out of that room and gets shoved in the garage
Okay.
so that we can actually have Christmas Eve dinner there.
Right. Fair enough.
And then once everybody, especially my mother-in-law, gets out of my hair the day after Christmas, um, I then spend a day or two deep cleaning the room, and then the next 2 to 3 days putting everything back together.
Right. Okay. So, an easy to break down, well, maybe not easy, but a breakdownable soap lab.
Yes, because my main work table is a extendable Amish oak dining table
Right.
covered in plastic.
Okay. Well, that's, I guess, very, very tolerant of the rest of your family to sacrifice a room for that.
Well, they know how the electric bill gets paid, so
Right. Say no
they
more.
don't give me too much trouble. Plus, we have an eat-in kitchen.
Right. Okay. So lots of room
It's
there.
just a small. It's just that the kitchen's just a small table that the four of us can sit around. But 364 days of a year, if anybody's eating in there, it's just the four of us.
Right. Got it. Is there a bestseller in your catalog of soaps, splashes, scents?
Over time, I have sold so much more of what people in the hobby know as LPV. The scent is called Le Pommade de la Vie.
Yeah.
Um, Translated to back to English, it's the spice of life.
Yes.
But I've compared to my second selling soap, that one probably has a 10 times lead. And most of that is thanks to that gentleman, Nick Shaves, I mentioned before, because it was
No
either
kidding.
2014 or I think it was 2014. It was his scent of the year, and I could not make it fast enough.
Wow. Okay. And is he still active? I guess not.
No, he's back then he was a medical student. Now he is a an orthopedic surgeon, and he does not have the time to play around with making shave videos anymore.
Fair enough. But it's still the Piment de la Vie still sells well.
It's still um if I were to pull up raw numbers, I think it is still my top seller, although you've got other scents like a Midnight Dreary, which is one of the dupes that has stuck around it, and I am terrified to even think about discontinuing it because I think I will get death threats.
Hmm, really? Wow. Well, a beloved scent is a beloved scent, and
It is.
us shavers are hardcore maniacs.
Mhm. And then
But
for the higher end stuff, um, Blue Jare has been a very very good seller for us.
yeah,
And then everybody knows I'm a vetiver junkie.
sure are.
322 does fairly well for us as well.
Okay, I actually have a question about that coming up. Maybe I'll just reorder questions. First, I wanted to ask you though, do you think you'll ever use another language aside from French and obviously English for your labels?
I'm trying to think if I have already,
Well, I mean the Greek fire, actually, to
but
spin
that's
back
just
around that.
but that's just English using Greek characters
Right,
representing
exactly.
uh the English letters.
Right. But ever think of doing, I don't know, a Spanish line or Italian or some other romantic
Oh,
language?
I have I have named a soap in Italian
Okay.
because back when there was a French style formula,
Yep.
there was also an Italian style formula.
Oh, interesting.
So I had an earthy minty scent. It was a combination of um peppermint, patchouli, and tea tree.
Okay.
Um, that I called Menta Terosa originally,
Yep.
which is Italian for mint of the earth or earthy mint or whatever Google Translate said it was.
Okay.
But that later on became mustache fin
Yep.
and has been out of production now for probably 7 years. So I probably should make some.
Yeah, that would be great. I think your fans would love it.
At
Uh,
least the patchouli lovers would.
yeah, for sure. So speaking of vetiver, not patchouli, 322 is maybe the greatest scent ever made to some of the shavers out there. I know it started as a joke in an attempt to make the most manly smelling scent, but why name it after, well, Skull and Bones, also known as the Order 322, or the Brotherhood of Death?
Because it worked. The story pieced itself together in my head. It smells the best description I've ever heard for how it smells
Yeah,
is that it smells like a 500-year-old wine cellar.
interesting. That is a very
You
good description, actually. Not that I've
you've
ever
got the
been in a
earthy
500-year-old wine cellar, but
no, but you've got the earthiness of the vetiver. It's got a little smokiness to it, but not much.
yeah,
You've got that pungency from the patchouli that's in it. Um, and then when that black currant pokes its head out, it's like that bottle that somebody dropped in the corner that's just been soaking into the stonework.
right. Interesting. That's a wonderful description, actually.
Yeah.
Funny enough, my birthday is on the 322nd day of the year, so your soap is duly
So
meaningful to me.
your birthday's 2 weeks before mine.
There you go. I guess it is.
The- Well, the three, depending upon whether it's a leap year or not, the
True.
327th day of the year is either November 18th or 19th.
It's the 18th for me, in any case, my birthday. So 2 weeks before yours. Good to know. Noted. So then we'll look out for your shave of the
Well,
day photo.
technically,
Right.
technically 12 days, but anyway,
Okay.
because I'm also a November baby.
Right. Best month.
I'm, I'm 2.5 hours away from being a December baby.
Still made it right in under the wire
Yes.
to the best month. Yes.
But yeah, trying to come up with this. That was one 322 when I made it. Um, I was working on Connecticut Shade for that meetup that was at Foxwoods, the one that Peter ambushed me at.
Okay.
Uh, and I was working on Connecticut Shade and the first couple of variations. I sent them up to Rudd's Shaves, because he was running the meetup and he pretty much had to thumb up the scent because it was going to be the official scent of the meetup. Um, and when I sent him up one, he told me that it wasn't manly enough. And as you said, for some reason, I went, okay, oak moss, patchouli, blackcurrant, vetiver. If I throw this together, I can get a reaction out of him, and it's not going to be that it's not manly enough. Um, and the reaction was, "This is awesome."
Sure. And
And for some reason, my mind, with the dark richness of the scent, went to um, dark death, and being that it was something that was in New England somehow. Yale University got pulled in, and we wound up at Skull and Bones.
sure. I love it. And it's always I don't know, I've always had a fascination with skulls myself, so it appeals to me even on another level with the graphic that you use. And it's
But
this
yeah, anybody who's ever smelled it definitely knows that that scent has some secrets.
yes, yes, absolutely.
So it works.
It sure does. On many levels, it seems. And is Haitian vetiver the most versatile material?
It's definitely the material I use the most because I'm
Okay.
a junkie.
Yeah. That shines through in many of your scents too. I think that there are a lot of other junkies out there too, so it's a good
Right,
thing.
but you can take um 322, you can take black bergamot, you could take azure.
Yeah,
All three of them have Haitian vetiver in it, all at varying different intensity levels.
in different ways.
Um,
That's right.
and there are three very different sets.
Yes. So yes, I guess it is a versatile material, or at least in the way that you use it,
It all depends upon the hand that's pouring the bottle and filling out the spreadsheet.
for sure. Let's talk about your before and after shave product. Seems like a unique offering, the before and after in one solution.
Well, the ingredient that makes it work really well as an after
Okay.
also makes it work well as a before.
And that in
In the and that ingredient's a sugar alcohol called sorbitol.
okay.
Sorbitol is a hygroscopic humectant. It literally will pull moisture towards itself.
Yes.
So not only does putting it on after your shave help give you a really nice feel to the skin, because it's keeping the outside of the skin moist. If you apply it and then go to load up your brush and then build your lather on top of it,
Yeah.
it will actually take moisture from the lather and bring it closer to the skin, giving you um, really the key to wet shaving, which is water, right where you need it.
Right. And
And it's
probably
not the before aspect of it. I've said this many times in groups when people ask me about it. Um, it's not something you're going to do once and be wowed. But if you go through a week of shaves doing it and then you stop, you'll notice something's missing.
you'll notice it's missing. Right. Exactly. Interesting. And how did you discover this?
It's just the chemical property of the ingredient, and with a little bit of testing, I bent it to my will.
Okay, that's great. I haven't seen it, but maybe it's my, lack of knowing all the products on the market, but I haven't seen it out there, or anyone else doing it.
The there's an Another time. There's a Spanish aftershave company. They make creams and other things as well called Mersol. I don't know if you've ever seen them.
I've heard, excuse me, I've heard the name. Yes.
Myrsol.
Yeah.
My favorite product from them is what gave me the idea, and I basically reverse engineered it.
Interesting. Okay.
My favorite product from them is called Massage Antisol.
Yeah.
The key ingredient in that is the sorbitol.
Okay.
And it is sold as a pre-shave and a post-shave.
Interesting. Neat. Are all of your aftershaves before and after, or it's specially indicated, or it's only certain scents?
The ones that are labeled as before and after shave
That
come in the regular blue bottles that you can buy at Maggard today,
yeah.
um, are all mentholated.
Okay.
Everything that I'm selling today that isn't mentholated is labeled as an aftershave lotion, but still contains that sorbitol ingredient.
Oh, it does. Okay. So it
So
doesn't.
you can use it that way. I just use the two different labels to basically differentiate between the two formulas because the one that has menthol doesn't have chamomile.
Okay.
The one that doesn't have menthol does have chamomile.
Right.
Slightly different alcohol to water ratios and so on and so forth too. But um, all my aftershaves that I'm currently offering rely on that sorbitol for its properties for the before and aftershave process. Um, Distilled water, denatured alcohol. You've got the one that has chamomile, the one that doesn't, but they both have white willow bark,
Okay.
which white willow bark is actually going to make the skin look less irritated after you're done shaving. And it's also going to prevent the appearance of razor bumps.
Right. Okay. Do you shave to relax?
I used to, and then I think I just got lazy.
So no longer.
Um, no, now it's pretty much I shave every 3 to 4 days right before I know my neck's gonna start getting itchy, or if I need to be presentable to other people.
Got it. And you have well, I guess a bit of an iconic look that includes sporting a goatee. Have you ever gone
Well,
clean? Sorry, go ahead.
the goatee's there for a reason.
And that
It's to
reason
give me
is?
some is because without it, I look like a 15-year-old.
Is that so?
Well, the grays are getting that away now, but I
Right.
very much have a baby face.
I don't know. From my age and perspective, I think that that's a good thing. I pine for my younger years or to look like my younger years. But alas. So then you always keep a goatee is the punchline.
Yeah, every once in a while, when I get bored and feel like having a little fun, I'll take a straight razor and
Oh,
I'll take 4, 5, 6 months of growth off in one swipe.
right.
But
Okay.
generally, I keep the goatee just simply because of the fact that, as I said, I look like a baby.
Right. Well, I think,
And then,
it's become your look.
and then when I actually do take it off and the first time either the kids see me, they point at me and they go, "You have no chin."
People don't recognize you, you know?
Mhm.
Right. Okay. Do you have a favorite artisan in the wet shaving space right now?
I'm not anywhere near as involved with everybody else's products as I used to be.
Okay.
Um, but out of who's still currently producing products, um, the largest collection I have outside of my own is Barrister and Man.
Okay.
Um, Will is a friend. I love his mom. I'm actually looking forward to getting out to Michigan because it's the one time a year I get a hug from Paula.
Nice.
But yeah, they're wonderful people, and he's a mad genius sometimes, but he's so creative.
He sure is. It was actually nice meeting them both last year at Maggart's. So yes. Do people complain too much?
Isn't that life?
For some, yes. I know I'm a big
Uh,
complainer.
it really depends upon where you're at and who's there. Um, if you look at you're in the same discords that I am.
Right.
Um,
Touche.
there there are some things that pop up as regular complaints across the different groups, and then there's some where it's just people being cheeky.
Yep. Or specific to certain groups. Yes. Are you still a Wu-Tang fan?
What kind of question is that? Did you never listen?
I
How
mean,
many times have they said Wu Tang for life?
right. Just checking. You're allowed to call me out on my questions. Fair. I see that the corporate statement, maybe, if I can call it as such, for Katie's Bubbles is life plays dirty. Let us help you clean up. Sounds almost like a quote from The Sopranos. So very New Jersey. Any
It's very dangerous.
right. Any story behind that or
No, it was just me coming up with a mission statement when I first formed the company, and it kind of fit with the idea of focusing on making soap. And it's a bit of a joke. Haha, clean up
for
soap.
sure. I mean, maybe again, maybe, I just associate it too much with New Jersey or The Sopranos, but that's what it conjured up in my head when I saw it.
Not just some dad humor.
On the note of bad humor, a recurring question in
No,
my
not
podcasts.
bad humor.
Oh,
Dad humor.
dad humor, yes, which is often construed as bad humor, but I appreciate my own dad humor. My child most certainly doesn't, but on that note or along those lines, a recur
Hold on. I'm going to cut you off again.
yeah,
Do you know the difference between bad humor and dad humor?
I do not.
Well, the dad humor, it's the groans.
Okay. I mean, bad humor can get a groan too.
No, dad dad jokes get a very, very specific type of groan, especially from your kids.
Certainly from the kids, yes. And bad humor, they might actually
The
appreciate it
bad
more.
humor, the first thing they're going to do is probably roll their eyes.
Right. But not groan.
Right. It's very different.
Fair enough. Recurring question on the podcast. Would you use another man's used soap?
Is that any different than buying a secondhand brush?
Not necessarily. It depends how you see it. Some people
We've got secondhand
refuse.
brushes, so
Okay. So
with
that's
and if they're natural fiber, there's no way to truly get in there and clean them. So
no. But I mean, I've also bought secondhand brushes and you're talking about soap, right? And ideally they've only been used with soap. So I like
and
you.
also soap's kind of self-cleaning.
Well, but this is it, right? Or that's the idea behind soap.
Right. And granted, you open up the jar and you see that it looks like somebody shaved another area and left it all in the jar, you're going to be grossed out.
Well, I think this is the problem with oftentimes with, using another man's used soap. If it's not sent off in, a proper condition, call it, then it's gross or can be. Right. Something unique in New Jersey that all the listeners need to know about?
Well, what isn't there that's great about New Jersey?
That's what I say.
Well, take into account where I live here. I am a couple of miles from the bay and the ocean.
Oh, very nice.
I am a 40-minute drive to Atlantic City.
Okay.
I am 90 minutes away from being in Philadelphia or New York City.
Yep.
And it is impossible to find a bad slice of pizza unless you go to Domino's or Pizza Hut out here.
Right. Okay. Sounds like, to me at least, the perfect location.
As long as it's doesn't have ice falling from the sky in January, yes, it is.
Sometimes that happens. I don't know. I'm up in Canada, so ice falling from the sky is something you just unfortunately learn to grin and bear.
Correct.
Speaking of which, I know that you're a wrestling fan, and Quebec, where I live, well, the province in which I live, has a storied tradition of wrestling. A lot of, wrestling greats seemingly come from Quebec. Um, but my question is, who would win a wrestling match between you and Ben from House of Mammoth?
Ben's a skinny guy. He's in trouble.
Okay, that answers it.
It's more along the lines of Ben's faster than me, but if I get a pull on him, he's in trouble.
Got it. Maybe 1 year at Maggard's, we can organize something.
But not this year because that jerk is flaking on us.
I heard. Not that I'm an artisan, but I'm flaking as well. I unfortunately won't be at the meetup again this year.
And I'm not really mad that Ben's not going to be there, but the fact that Ben isn't going to be there means that I don't get to see Vita
Right.
because if Ben's not there,
Vita's not there.
Vita's not there
Yeah,
because I don't think Maggard's carries Chicago Grooming, but they do carry House of Metal.
sure. Why don't they carry Chicago Grooming? I wonder.
Most of Vita's work is white label.
Okay,
She really does not put a big push on her own brand line.
right. Even though it's such good stuff, I think.
It's very good stuff. She's a wonderful person. She's immensely talented.
Yes.
Um, and she's a really hard worker. But she makes a lot of stuff for other companies,
Others, right.
and they're the one that, oh, House of Mammoth is great stuff. He makes great soap. No, Vita makes great soap. Ben
For
makes
him.
great sense. The two of them together give you a great experience.
That's it. Well said. So yes, explains why, they're a duo at Maggard's and such. Chris, any future plans for Katie's Bubbles? Any big collabs or exclusives coming up?
I don't have any collaborations currently in the works. I've got the sense that I mentioned earlier, the cranberry top fougere,
Yep.
which is going to be hitting quick because there's already a lot of work in on that.
Okay.
Um, and that legendary is not going to come out in soap form. It's only going to come out as a perfume. So I
Oh,
have to figure out exactly how I'm going to handle that. If I'm going to just fill bottles, put them on the shelf, wing it, and hope that they sell, or if I'm going to do it as a pre-order. I got to figure that part out.
do you just personal for my own personal? curiosity, do you distribute through top of the chain in
As
Canada?
Arm does carry my stuff.
Okay, good.
He's not the best at regularly placing orders.
Hmm. Maybe if his customers nudge him because
Well, that's normally when Kong does place an order,
right.
is when somebody nudges him saying, "Hey, you're out of stock on this, and I want to buy it." Oh, let me reach out to Chris.
Or even more, this upcoming release, you really need to stock, is what I'm thinking.
Sometimes I can reach out to him and he'll say, "Oh, let me wait until I place my next order," or sometimes it's, "Oh, that sounds great. Let me get X, Y, and Z,
Right.
and put together an order for you to send it with."
Sure.
But um, and this is a shortcoming of mine. I'm not very big on going out and begging my vendors for money. I like it when they reach out when they are looking for something, because it's always in the back of my head that if I push something on them and then it starts building an army of dust bunnies, that's my fault.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, it's a two-way street, right? They agree to take it on into their inventory, but it's good to know in any case that, there is influence by the customer. The customer has some influence. So you can best be sure that I will be bugging Carmen to stock some of your new stuff, especially the new perfume when that comes out. And this brings us to the end of our interview.
You hit
So
all your questions?
I'm sorry,
I said you hit all your questions?
I hit all my questions, and
Wonderful.
I hope that it was a fun discussion for you.
I always have a good time chatting shop. So thank you
Fantastic.
very much for picking my brain and give me a chance to get some of the nonsense that's in there out into the world.
And thank you very much for being such a willing participant and sharing so much of your story with all the listeners. And so I'll say thanks again, Chris.
And so will I. Thank you, Ray.